No, I think we're ready. So first of all, I'd like to give everybody just maybe a little bit of perspective on Sandra. This is Sandra Kelly. She's Director of HR with Munich RE Automation Solutions. She has very kindly agreed to come and talk to us today, and we really appreciate it, Sandra. Munich RE, it's a really interesting case, and I hope people will gain a lot from this session. The first thing to say, I suppose, is Munich RE is one of the most sophisticated and largest reinsurance companies on the planet. It's been around a while. It was established in 1880. And a subsidiary of Munich RE Automation Solutions, was established here in Dublin in 1997. So it's a really interesting group. There are 152 people employed there, and their aim is to provide a one-stop shop for Munich RE clients in the areas of digitization and innovation. So it's a company that has worked and continues to work very closely in partnership with IDA to manage the whole series of challenges and competitive issues that a company like this addresses on a daily basis. So in the last number of months, Munich RE Automation Solutions has been developing a strategic plan to address these strategic challenges. And actually, I was interested this morning when John, the economist, was referring to talent and skills as being key strategic issues to address. It struck me that this will him very nicely with Sandra's session. So based on these challenges, Munich RE in Dublin, led by Sandra, has worked with IDA, mainly with Aileen Rose, with Andrew, and with Angela, to look at how at a very practical level, IDA can work with a sophisticated services company in the financial services sector and how this is done. And that's the reason that Sandra was invited here today. So we're going to talk through that journey. So, Sandra, first of all, formally welcome you and to thank you again. Maybe we'll start off, if you can just talk us through the rationale for the transformation. So you're here in Dublin, you have 150 people, you're barraged with competitive issues, you want to get ahead in digitization. What was the catalyst that started this off?
Sure, thank you, Eileen. I'm delighted to be here today to meet everybody. As you said, we joined the Munich RE group in 2007, and we are very much going through a large transformation at the moment in relation to digital services. The whole area of digital services is a strategic vision for the Munich RE group, and we are the only entity within that group that provides the digital services or that are a technology entity. The rest of them are insurance, reinsurance, and other areas like that. So they very much see us as a strategic entity within the group that can lead this digital services area. And to do that, we have 140 customers globally ourselves. We also work in partnership with the Munich RE group when they sell reinsurance and we sell our services product. But we need to be more innovative now, and we want to. One of our main strategic goals is to move all of our customers into the cloud and not have an on-premise hosted solution any longer. And also, any new products we're selling are going to be cloud-based. So this is also part of the Munich RE vision, and they have transferred some products to us directly in Dublin, which is great for the Irish entity. And we're also look forward thinking now and looking at our products. So strategically, it was a very good opportunity for us to get involved in this strategic talent program, because we needed to evaluate our current staff, our current roles and our skills, and to look to the future, be more future driven rather than reactive, which we had done previously, and we're very much like that. We have hired a lot of new people in the last 2 years, so we really wanted to reevaluate the company generally and to look to the future.
Brilliant. I mean, it sounds like a really sort of challenging project. So that's sort of the objectives, what you wanted to do. And it would be really good to understand, how did you actually do it?
Yeah, well, it was very good timing because we've been a partner with the IDA for a number of years on the R&D side. So I was contacted and asked, would we be interested in doing a strategic talent development program? And I thought it was great timing because we were, as I said, we had hired a lot of new people. We needed to reevaluate our skills and everything that goes with that. So to be honest, it was a very practical analysis and program, but we got a lot of help from the IDA. We also had access to a mentor who helped us a lot. And it was really a very practical program. Myself and 3 other members of my team, we sat down, we mapped out our plan, we talked to managers, we looked at our job families in the organization, we looked at the roles within those families, we looked at our skills and our competencies that we need to have and what we have currently and who are in those roles and do they need to be retrained, what new skills do we need to bring in to the company. So it was a huge analysis all across the board. It did take a lot of work and a lot of effort, but it was so rewarding. I think even as a company and as a team, we developed ourselves in carrying out the analysis, and we looked at our mentor introduced us to an actual formula where you can assess a role criticality and assess is if you didn't have that role in the company or if it was vacant, how critical would that be? And so we were able to do a lot of analysis on our roles and then look at succession planning as well. So there was a lot involved.
Sounds really comprehensive. Was there much resistance to it? To the initiative?
No, I wouldn't say resistance. I think it's more getting people's time because you do need to spend time with managers and executives of different functions, and you need to sell it to them. You need to sell the benefit to them of us going through this process and getting their time and buy-in to it, and it has to come from the top down also to work. So we did that pretty well, I think. It was time consuming. At the same time as doing that analysis, we also introduced our career framework at the same time, which was also good timing. I know a lot of the bigger companies have these in place for years, but we were a relatively small company up until now, so we didn't have one in place. So we introduced a career framework, and that allowed all of our employees to see where their roles sat on the framework. We have levels 1 to 6 now, and they were able to look and see what their career path might be, or if they wanted to move into another function, how they might do that and go about that. So that was also introduced at the same time, and managers have been very much feeling the benefit of using that system at the moment.
So it sounds great, actually. So really it was more like presenting a series of potential opportunities rather than risks.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, I mean, there are risks associated. You can invest a lot in training and development for staff, and they may leave or they may not finish training or whatever it is. But there's a bigger risk by not training people and not developing people, and especially when you want to bring the company forward to the next level. And also, you're hiring. We're still hiring a lot of people. So and skills. There is a skill shortage of the technologies that we hire for. So we need to be able to sell what we provide to new prospective employees also.
Yeah.
So it was a bigger risk not to do it.
Great.
I would say.
Thank you. That's super. Like now that you're sort of midway through this, there's 2 questions I wanted to ask you. One is, like, it's a big investment. 3 million is a lot of funding to get for training. So what did you do in terms of ensuring that you had the right level of executive leadership and corporate support to ensure that you had that support along the way?
Well, one of our executives was a sponsor of this project, and he was involved from at the early stage, when we were meeting with IDA and in discussing whether we were going to take it forward. So it's good to have, you need somebody, you know, on the executive team to be a sponsor, and that helps. And I think it was just really a good sales job. You know, you need to sell. You need to sell the benefits to them, and you know, and explain that we want to be a forward-thinking company. We want to be thinking about the future and getting that mindset in place. You know, getting managers to think about the future, thinking about what skills they're going to need, and not just being reactive all the time. And you know, we needed to move forward. We needed to do that.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Sandra, and what would you say would be, from where you're sitting now, like what are the key learnings for you?
The key learnings are to be very organised, I think, and think about what you need to achieve and map it out, you know, from start to finish, and re-evaluate all the time as you're going along. Making sure that you're regularly communicating with people and managers particularly, that they're you know, they're happy with, you know, all of the development topics that we had in our plan, and it's a 3-year plan, so it's quite long, so they really do need to be thinking into the future. So it was really just getting the mindset on board with them, that they were thinking about the future, and really it was good development for them also.
Okay, that's great. Is there any learnings you might share with us? I mean, you've worked very closely with the team here, and my understanding is it's been a brilliant partnership. But like any partnership, like how could we improve it? Are there learnings that would be helpful for us in terms of dealing with similar companies, looking at talent and transformation? Yeah,
I mean, I think everybody here on the IDA team have been immensely supportive. I couldn't fault it. It'd been brilliant. Picked up the phone, answered any questions we had, provided us with a mentor, and were really, really helpful and encouraging. So I couldn't say any more, and would be delighted to do any future projects as well. I suppose maybe if I was to say something, it would be maybe there was a lot of help and encouragement and guidance around the, you know, the application process and what to be looking at. Maybe when you get accepted for the grant, maybe, you know, maybe more guidance on what happens then, and maybe around the claims process and what qualifies, what doesn't qualify. But, you know, they're small things. Overall, it was a fantastic experience.
Okay, thanks very much for that, Sandra. So, you're in the throes of this at the moment. I mean, where to from here now, from your perspective and from the Dublin operation perspective?
I think the important thing is to keep it going and not just put it away in a drawer now and go back to it in 2025. You know, it's you need to keep reiterating and reevaluating and communicating with the managers, making sure that because you know yourself, business, things change overnight. So, you know, there could be a need to change it or add to it, or, you know, so we need to just keep on top of it really, and make it become part of everyday life within the organisation. I think I was saying to you before, the Munich RE group brought in a new performance management process in 2020, so the first year of COVID, so it wasn't a great timing, but that's when it was. And we no longer do annual performance reviews any longer, so we have what they call continuous conversations between managers and employees. So they meet regularly, and it's quite informal, that they can decide what works for them. Some people do every 2 weeks or every month, and you have regular conversations with your manager, and it's a two-way feedback system as well. So it's not just top-down feedback; it's also bottom-up. And it's a way of people talking about their commitments for the next while or a year or whatever, or team commitments. And it's also where we would discuss development and, you know, everything that goes with that. So that's when they would discuss what development plans they need to have in place, or what areas they want to look at. And we also want to try and encourage more third level development opportunities also, because that's something, you know, that's been quite ad hoc. So we want to encourage our employees to look at third level further development also.
No, that's fantastic. And I think it might be worth mentioning actually before we close, like the impact in terms of attrition from Munich RE Automation Solutions.
Yeah, Yes, well, it was quite high during COVID. I think we all know about the Great Resignation, and we felt that considerably during that time. So but we've also hired a lot of new people as well in the last 2 years. So our attrition rate for 2023 was very low compared to the previous 2 years. So, I think as well, having a strategic development plan in place is helping people. It kind of buys, not buys people, but it helps buy in, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So I think, it's all positive steps, and I've no doubt it's helping in that area.
Okay, Sandra, that was absolutely brilliant, and you're so positive, and I think such an inspiration for our executives here that will be working with companies similar to your own, and certainly an inspiration. But before we close, we have 4 minutes left. Just want to check if there are any questions for Sandra before we close. Thank you. From Anonymous. What was the biggest benefit of undertaking the digitisation and training journey, and how did you measure its success?
Well, the benefits are, I suppose, that we want to be the main digital service provider within the Munich RE group. So, by moving in this area, we're doing that, and we're also, as I said, moving our customers from on-premise to cloud and selling only in the cloud going forward. So we had to become digital and as much as possible. How we're measuring it, it's probably a bit early to say, because we're really only at the beginning of the process. So it's probably a little bit early, but I've just said our attrition was low last year, so I don't know whether that's a good measurement. But we will be, we do have some KPIs that we haven't, planned to measure. We want to make sure we hit certain targets each quarter. That's, a lot of people are availing of their development planning, that everybody has development plans in place, and that we're also looking at bringing in getting some like insurance and reinsurance specific courses written for us, because that's the business that we're in, and a lot of the people we would hire wouldn't come from that background. That they might be technology people from different business areas. So we want to look to bring in some kind of specific training as well, which would be a good measurement.
Super answer, thank you. Sandra, now there are 2 questions here that aren't particularly easy, so why don't I put the 2 questions, and if it's something you want to deal with separately, we can do that.
Yeah.
So the first one is, are there identifiable ways IDA can support large financial services clients like Munich RE in becoming more sustainable? That's the first question.
Yeah.
And the second question, have you been able to quantify, and this leads to the previous session with Mary, have you been able to quantify the impact of AI on your workforce up to 2030? And how did you do that?
On the sustainability question, we're really at the very beginning of that journey. Munich RE do have targets that they have set for the group, which they're looking at, and that will filter down to the other entities. And I know one of my colleagues is currently doing something with IDA in that area. He's on some course or some development area in that area. So it's very early days for us at the moment. But I think the more that the IDA can provide in that area to help companies like us, maybe that are smaller, that maybe are not, looking at it as much as they should be, that they can help do that. Yeah.
Super. And then on AI?
Well, I'm not a techie myself, so I can't really say a whole lot on that one.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's super. And finally, were there any surprises in the skills gaps that you identified during your analysis?
That's a very good question. Were there any surprises? Probably not really. I think we just learned that we need to be, we need to have better leadership development programs in place. We need to equip our managers better maybe than we have done. And, and our technologies are always changing. So, there's always new technologies to add to the portfolio. But no major big surprises, but just to, I suppose the biggest surprise might be how many there were. There were quite a lot. There were a lot of topics and a lot of areas to cover. So, that was probably the biggest surprise.
Okay, listen, on behalf of everybody, Sandra, can I thank you very much? That was absolutely brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you.